Okay. Happy Monday, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I lead research and insights on the marketing team at GroundTruth. On behalf of GroundTruth, I'm excited to kick off this event and share insights with you about current consumer behaviors as we head back into our new normal after a year that has fundamentally changed all of our lives, to say the very least. So we'll be looking at foot traffic data over the past 4 months, along with a few key trends that have emerged out of the pandemic. So in order to best understand where the data I'll be referencing to comes from, I need to briefly talk about who GroundTruth is. GroundTruth is a location-based marketing and advertising company. We see real-world foot traffic data from the millions of mobile devices on our platform. And when looked in aggregate, we can uncover trends about where and when consumers are going, which is especially insightful at this time as more people start to feel comfortable going out into the real world. So for brand marketers, I imagine this type of information is crucial when beginning to ramp up marketing campaigns again. So I hope you find it useful. While we have data on nearly every category, location, today I'll be focusing on 3 key verticals: retail, restaurant, and travel. So let's begin with retail. So it's been reported that retail sales surged 10.7% in March, and we're up 50% year over year, with sporting goods, clothing, and food and beverage leading the gains. As more Americans are vaccinated, business restrictions are rolled back, and people begin to resume normal daily activities. So that was the best month for retail sales since the first round of stimulus checks back in May of 2020. However, since then, sales have stalled a bit in April, but nonetheless, total retail sales are expected to increase as we move further into 2021. Households have accumulated at least $2.3 trillion in excess savings during the pandemic, which should underpin spending this year. Many economists believe that retail sales growth will be solid throughout the rest of the year, citing that consumers have billions of dollars in stimulus payments saved up, and will gradually spend that over the next few years. So now let's look at what the foot traffic is showing us for the retail sector. You'll see this foot traffic snapshot chart for all of the verticals, which basically shows indexed average daily foot traffic from February through May of this year. So starting with one of the bigger holidays in Q1, which was Valentine's Day, the day before Valentine's Day saw a 37% increase in foot traffic, which was much lower than in 2019, but nonetheless above average, which is great. And then on March 20th, we did see a 77% increase in foot traffic, almost exactly aligned with when stimulus checks were directly deposited into people's bank accounts over that weekend. So that was really the surge that aligned with the sales data, why March was so positive. And then by April, traffic did begin to trail off a little bit, but the day before Easter, foot traffic was 67% above average, and then sort of dips after that. But you can see Memorial Day weekend, it's starting to increase again. And so we dived into some of the categories. This is the change in foot traffic from February to March. So we wanted to see if people are spending their money and are going back into stores, where are they going? So total retail sales foot traffic, total retail foot traffic was up 33%, followed by the apparel and accessories, sporting goods, and footwear brands doing the best. So I know there's been so many more events, weddings, places to go. Apparel and footwear companies are doing great. Dress sales are through the roof. So this totally aligns with the sales data that I briefly mentioned as well. And then sporting goods stores are up. I think maybe people found new hobbies over the pandemic that they're eager to continue as the weather improves. So these are some of the categories that are seeing the largest gains. And then just a little tidbit about beauty stores. They also saw almost a 30% increase from February to March. And a few retailers have noted an increase in their lipstick sales as people begin to take their masks off and want to be unique and put makeup on again. So that's an interesting tidbit. And then malls. Malls are always a big topic of conversation in the retail space. We always talk about the doom and gloom of malls, but we're actually seeing foot traffic increase. A lot of the big retail chains, though, closed their stores in malls, but that left vacated spaces for direct-to-consumer brands to try out their brick and mortar strategies with pop-up stores. Malls are also reinventing themselves by becoming more experience-driven, filling the vacancies again with bowling alleys, trampoline parks, and AR and VR attractions. Simon Property Group CEO actually predicted that the shopping mall is poised for a comeback due to broader social trends such as residents moving to the suburbs, less commuting into the cities, and a drastic rise in work from home. So he, of course, will say this, but he is thinking that this all points towards an impending mall rebound. So what we did was we looked at year-over-year change in foot traffic by month. So obviously February and March of 2020, things were still pretty normal. So foot traffic was lower this year, but as we look into April and May, we are seeing malls rebounding, and traffic was 288% higher in 2021 versus 2020. So now let's move towards QSR and restaurant trends. So this is the level of public excitement to go out and eat at a restaurant. I know I'm definitely eager to get out and meet with friends and family, but half of people surveyed are excited to start dining out, along with the 24% that have already been doing this. So around 3/4 of people are, eager to get out and eat at restaurants. So let's see what the foot traffic shows us. So again, this is index daily foot traffic starting from February. And this big dip here in the beginning of the quarter was due to the winter storm power crisis that happened in the South. 3 big storms that happened sort of had everyone staying home. But then towards February 25th, the end of the month, we started seeing above average foot traffic for the category. And it sort of leveled off and stayed neutral, in April and May. Again, we wanted to look at which categories within the restaurant vertical have been seeing the biggest rebounds. And, QSR chains, many of them already had drive-through and carry out prior to the pandemic. So they fared pretty well during the pandemic and are still rebounding the quickest. For reference, drive-through traffic grew 19% in 2020, and carry-out accounted for 38% of traffic, which was up 21% compared to 2019. So I think a lot of these restaurant brands, if they didn't have these options available for customers, I think they're certainly implementing them, and something that people might want to keep continuing to do throughout the rest of the year. One other trend that we wanted to call out that I think can apply to all of the restaurant categories along with other, retailers is just a change in the time of day that people are going out and doing things. So it's really apparent in coffee shop time of day traffic. So the lighter green color is 2020 traffic, and the darker green is 2021. Obviously when people were commuting into their offices, coffee shops were seeing a huge peak from 7 to 9 a.m. And now that people are working from home, foot traffic is 15% lower from 7 to 9 a.m. And a little bit more consistent throughout the day. So there's not really this huge spike in traffic and then it dips for the rest of the day. And I know that brands like Starbucks have actually changed the employee shifts because to accommodate for these new peak periods of foot traffic. So just something to think about with, the new way consumers are out and about in their local areas. Another pandemic-driven trend are what has been coined streeteries, which I personally love. These are the spaces that restaurants have implemented on the sidewalks and parking lots. And here in Astoria, they have actually now this summer been renovating their outdoor spaces to become more like lounges and just nicer spaces for people to sit outside. So 55% of people feel comfortable dining indoors, but 66% still feel more comfortable dining outdoors, at least when the weather's nicer. So I think this is a trend that people want to stay that has come out of the pandemic. So the final category is travel trends, which again, I'm definitely eager to start traveling again, although I haven't been on an airplane since last March, but this is the level of public excitement to go on vacation once the coronavirus pandemic is under control. 63% of people surveyed are excited to start traveling, along with the 10% that are already doing this. There was a similar chart for public excitement to start traveling for business, which the numbers were much lower, but because we're talking about consumer behavior, I figured let's show what people are doing in their leisure. So people do want to start traveling again. So we looked at Memorial Day weekend as well, because it's the first big holiday that people are vaccinated and want to travel. This is the foot traffic to the top 50 airports starting in February. It was obviously much lower in the beginning of February and has been steadily increasing. And May 28th of Memorial Day weekend was the highest foot traffic day since February at 32% above the daily average. So I think people were at the airports this weekend, and we dug a little bit deeper into Memorial Day weekend patterns, because again, sort of the first big long weekend where people are vaccinated, the weather's nicer and everyone wants to, you know, sort of get back to normal. So the categories that fared the best, again, airports were 214% higher in 2021 versus 2020, followed by parks and beaches, beauty, casual dining, and department stores. So I think people overall were eager to get out, relax, treat themselves, go out to eat and shop. So that's sort of what I've gathered from what people were doing over Memorial Day weekend compared to last year. On the flip side, categories that did better in 2020 compared to this year were car rentals. So I think a lot of people took road trips last year, avoiding airports. Warehouse retailers did better, such as Costco and BJ's. You can remember everyone was stocking up on toilet paper last year. QSRs, where people could get a quick bite to eat, and then big box retailers like Walmart and Target did better last year. Maybe more people were hosting barbecues. And at least in New York, the weather wasn't too nice this year. So that could have contributed to that decline as well. So Memorial Day weekend is sort of some of the most recent data that we have, but on a daily basis, we are updating our GroundTruth foot traffic tracker, which you can find on our website. This tracker is something we've put together because of COVID. Everyone wants to track what people are doing, discovering new trends. So we have a ton of different categories on here. As you can see, you can drill down to the state and even zip code level with these images at the bottom. So I will be sending around this presentation after, but feel free to visit our website to find more data. And so I'm excited to hear from our brand marketers today about the trends they're seeing and how they plan to move forward towards brighter days ahead. Please feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions, and it's been a pleasure sharing my thoughts with you today. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. And what a great way to open today's programming with these insights into consumers' behavior over the past year and what's to come. I'm finding it really interesting to see what trends will remain. You know, I love the outdoor dining, so I'm excited about that. But also, you know, versus what ones have come